New York faces a housing crisis that requires bold actions and an all-hands-on-deck approach, Governor Hochul said. Every community in New York must do their part to encourage housing growth to move our state forward and keep our economy strong. The New York Housing Compact is a comprehensive plan to spur the changes needed to create more housing, meet rising demand, and make our state a more equitable, stable, and affordable place to live. New York State is currently facing a severe, once-in-a-generation housing crisis. According to the Population Reference Bureau, more than half of New York renters are rent-burdened, meaning that they pay more than 30% of their income on rent, the second highest rate in the nation. In the New York City metro area, rents have risen 30% since 2015 and home prices have risen 50% over the same period. Outside of New York City, rents have risen 40 to 60% since 2015 while home prices have risen 50 to 80%. Resistance to bigger development is a familiar dynamic in suburbs like Scarsdale, where single-family homes and sprawl are distinctive features. Now, Governor Kathy Hochul, a moderate Democrat, is taking on the daunting task of forcing suburbs to embrace housing, in a mission to get 800,000 units built over the next decade and ease the state's housing crisis. Ms. Hochul would join officials in places as far as Maine and California that have increasingly clashed with communities resisting development. The headwinds she faces are intense. The New York City suburbs are considered the birthplace of American suburbia. New Yorkers began moving in droves to communities in Westchester County and on Long Island to escape urban life beginning in the 20th century. It created segregated enclaves that resisted new development and racial integration for decades. By one measure, Westchester County and Long Island have allowed fewer homes to be built per person in the past decade than the regions around nearly every other major U.S. city, including San Francisco, Washington, D.C., and Boston. Ms. Hochul's plan has touched a political third rail and drawn the anger of Republicans and some Democrats, as negotiations over the state budget come to a head this week in Albany. So far, the governor has not backed down. In an interview, Ms. Hochul said she hoped to cut through the hysteria around her plan. Several local officials argue too much new housing could strain sewers, roads and other local infrastructure. Assemblywoman Amy Paulin, a Democrat who represents Scarsdale and other parts of Westchester County, said the proposal would change the complexity of our county in a way that doesn't make sense. Some New York City suburbs, including several in New Jersey but also some on Long Island and in Westchester, have supported building more homes. Westchester's largest cities, including New Rochelle and Yonkers, have helped fuel much of that construction. But the need for housing continues to outpace the current pace of development. A December report from the Regional Plan Association, a non-profit group, estimated that New York needs to add more than 817,000 homes over the next decade to keep up with population growth and ease overcrowding. The governor's plan has two main components. One would force every community to expand its housing stock every 3 years by set percentages, 3% downstate and 1% upstate. Another could force communities to allow at least 50 homes per acre on average to be built within a half-mile of many Long Island Railroad and Metro North stations. As the housing crisis continues to implode in New York, how long will it take for officials to take action? How long will the residents have to endure the strain of ever-increasing rent prices with little or too expensive options to choose from? Will this housing crisis trigger another mass exodus similar to the pandemic, causing Florida and Texas to absorb the fleeing residents? Or will a new low cost of living state be dramatically affected?